Open your fridge, and dinner is already waiting. The calories have been found, collected, carried, cleaned, processed, packaged, and delivered before you even feel hungry. Ancient humans could store body fat just like us. The hard part was keeping the surplus going. Food had to be found, dug up, tracked, carried, cracked open, processed, and often shared. For much of human history, every calorie came with a cost. That does not mean ancient people never gained fat. It means that gaining extra fat required something their environment often refused to provide. More energy than the body used, again and again, for long enough to store the difference. One lucky meal could do many things. It could not guarantee another lucky meal tomorrow. The first mistake is imagining one perfect ancestral menu. There was no single ancestral menu. Humans lived beside coasts, inside forests, across grasslands, in deserts, and eventually in the Arctic. The edible world changed with every move. It also changed with the month. Modern hunter-gatherer diets help show how wide that variation can be, although no living community is a time machine for the Stone Age. Among the Hadza of Tanzania, researchers describe 5 major wild food categories: tubers, berries, baobab, honey, and meat. But those foods do not arrive in equal amounts all year. When berries become less available, less preferred tubers can become a fallback. In other environments, fish, shellfish, nuts, seeds, roots, or large animals can matter more. Cold climates can push diets toward animal foods. Warm environments can offer a different balance of plants and animals. The point is not that one menu was healthier. The point is that there was no magic menu. Human beings survived by switching foods when the landscape switched the options. That flexibility explains how our species could eat in radically different places. It does not explain why sustained weight gain was often difficult. For that, we have to look at everything that happened before the first bite. Today, the distance between wanting calories and getting calories may be 3 steps to the cupboard. In a foraging economy, that distance could be measured in hours, kilometers, judgment, and risk. Someone had to know where roots grew and when they were worth digging. Someone had to spot ripe fruit before animals or another group found it. Honey might mean locating a hive, climbing, handling smoke, and carrying the prize home. Meat might require tracking, waiting, missing, trying again, butchering, and transport. Even a bone full of marrow was not a snack until a tool opened it. Find it, dig it, chase it, carry it, crack it open, share it. These actions did not make every food low in calories. A food could be rich in energy and still be expensive in time, knowledge, transport, and failed attempts. Honey can be rich in energy, marrow can be rich in fat, and a successful hunt can produce a huge package of food. The issue was not whether high-energy food existed. The issue was how reliably the next high-energy package could be obtained. This was not a workout plan. It was the price of dinner. And the price did not stay the same. Rain moved, plants ripened and disappeared, animals migrated, scattered, or simply refused to be caught. Skill mattered, but skill could not make wild resources arrive on a supermarket schedule. Field studies among the Aché report high day-to-day variation in men's hunting returns. Hadza records show something similar in a different form. Men in one long-running study brought food back to camp on only a minority of observed days, with the rate changing by household situation. That number does not mean the whole camp went hungry whenever one man returned empty-handed. Women gathered food, other people produced food, and families shared. That is exactly why a hunting-only story is misleading. Food security was built from many people, many skills, and many different resources. It was also built through sharing. Hadza food records show men directing food to wives, children, and relatives in other households. A large animal was not automatically one hunter's private calorie mountain. It became food moving through a social network. Sharing could soften one person's bad day with another person's good day, but it also meant that one spectacular return did not become one spectacular personal surplus. A feast was possible, a permanent feast was not. This is where the question finally becomes a body problem instead of a food list. Humans gain stored energy when intake repeatedly exceeds expenditure. The body adjusts as weight changes, so the process is more complicated than a simple pocket calculator. But the direction is not mysterious. Sustained overfeeding can increase body mass and body fat. Ancient bodies had that machinery. What many ancient environments lacked was a reliable way to keep feeding it. Imagine one day of honey, meat, or ripe fruit. That day could push intake above expenditure. Now imagine the next day brings a long search and a small return. Then rain ruins one opportunity, an animal escapes, or the best patch is already empty. The earlier surplus is no longer being repeated. The difficult part was not getting extra calories once, it was getting them again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. That repeated surplus is what unstable supply makes difficult. Then humans began changing the calendar. Storage changed the calendar. At Dhra in the Jordan Valley, archaeologists found purpose-built granaries dating to roughly 11,000 years ago. They appeared before fully developed plant domestication at the site. The idea was simple and powerful. Move food from the week when it is available to the week when it is not. Cultivation pushed the same idea further. Instead of only finding edible landscapes, people increasingly built them. They selected plants, prepared ground, harvested together, and stored part of the result. This did not happen everywhere at once. It did not end crop failure, hunger, hard labor, or inequality. Early farming could demand enormous work, and its health effects differed across places and centuries. But managed fields and stored surpluses could make calories more predictable. Storage did not create more food by magic. It changed when a successful harvest could be eaten. A granary could hold yesterday's harvest for tomorrow. A settlement could remain in one place and support more people. Food was still costly. It was becoming scheduled. That was a major change in the possibility of maintaining a surplus. The modern food environment takes predictability much further. The weather can be terrible, the local trees can produce nothing, and the nearest wild animal can be miles away. The refrigerator still opens. The store still has shelves. A delivery app can turn a thumb movement into a hot meal. This does not make modern people lazy or morally weak. It means that the old chain of acquisition has been moved out of sight. Farmers, factory workers, truck drivers, cooks, warehouse staff, and machines perform it for us. We meet the chain at the final link, eating. And when calorie-dense food is consistently nearby, a surplus can be repeated with extraordinary ease. One controlled experiment at the National Institutes of Health made that effect visible. 20 adults lived in a metabolic ward and were offered either an ultra-processed or an unprocessed diet for 2 weeks, then switched. The presented diets were matched for several major nutrients, and the participants could eat as much or as little as they wanted. During the ultra-processed phase, they ate about 500 more calories per day on average. They gained about 9/10 of a kilogram during those 2 weeks and lost about the same amount during the unprocessed phase. That small study does not prove that every processed food affects every person in the same way. It does show that changing the food environment can change intake and weight without inventing a story about weak character. The bodies were human in both phases. The environment changed. So did the repeated surplus. Ancient humans were not one population, and they were not permanently lean. Some lived through abundance, some through shortage, and every region created its own pattern. But the broad contrast is still useful. For many foragers, calories arrived through a system with friction, delay, uncertainty, seasonality, and social distribution. For many people today, calories arrive through a system designed for reliable access. Not better genes, not cleaner souls, not stronger willpower, more friction. That friction could make sustained fat gain harder without making it biologically impossible. It could turn a high-calorie discovery into a feast instead of a daily baseline. Agriculture and storage began reducing the interruptions. Industrial food systems reduced them again. And now the meal in your refrigerator carries almost none of its acquisition story on the label. Ancient humans did not stay lean because they discovered the perfect diet. They often had to earn every calorie, and that made a lasting surplus much harder to afford.